Hello all, I hope you're all doing well. We are continuing with our weekly portion review. We are one before the last to complete the cycle of the 5 books of Moses, what we call the Torah. And we are coming off of the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, and going straight into Shabbat. And so this portion is called Haazinu. Listen. This is Moses speaking to the Israelites and telling them, listen. This is his famous songs, the Song of Moses, and it involves sort of the indictment of the Israelites, right, and the sins they were participating in, the prophecy of their future punishment, and of course also the promise of Hashem, of God redeeming them eventually as well. What I want to focus on is the why in this song does Moses start off with first speaking to the nations and not only speaking to Israel. As we see in Deuteronomy 32 verses 7 and 8, Moses declares, he says, remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations, when the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he separated the children of men, etc., etc. So here again, the focus was when the Most High, obviously speaking about Hashem, gave the nations their inheritance. So why are we stressing this point? And as I'm sure you've heard this narrative before, as we've been speaking over the last few years, but Moshe is here to teach us that the Jewish history cannot be viewed in isolation, right? Israel doesn't exist just as another nation pursuing its own path. Rather, Israel's really being born against the backdrop of humanity's failures, right? We have with Noah, of course, we have the flood. Right before Abraham, we have the dispersion of humanity with the failed attempt of the Tower of Babel. And only within this universal framework can one actually understand Israel's unique mission, which is to become God's portion and its inheritance. The people are actually charged with giving meaning to the different fragmentations of the other nations in the world. And every nation really expresses one form of humanity's identity, right? You'll have the famous Spartans, or we have the Norsemen, or we have the Egyptians, we have the Chinese, and these are all different kinds of cultures. But each embodies a particular mode of being human, really. Israel, however, gathers all the 70 archetypes of humanity into one large family. And these 70 souls who descended into Egypt, these are really these are trying to parallel the 70 nations described in the Torah. And through the process of exile, Israel was actually scattered among the nations, and by doing so, they're actually absorbing the traits and their ways of life. And this really explains the natural tension between different Jewish communities today, right? You have Moroccan Jews and Polish Jews and Yemenite Jews and German Jews, and beneath the surface, really, these conflicts often reflect the cultural legacies of the non-Jewish societies within which these Jews once lived. And they are hashing it out, so to speak, today. And in this essence, every Jew carries within themselves these little echoes of those 70 nations. And therefore, the ingathering of Israel into the land of Israel ultimately is not just closed-minded, inward-looking process. It's actually a universal act. By uniting all these different fragments of identity within the Jewish people, what we're doing, though, we're actually reuniting the fractured pieces of humanity, and we're slowly restoring the original wholeness of Adam, or the concept of Adam. And the goal really is not here to erase the differences or to impose uniformity, right? The Torah values diversity of identity, as we've spoken about often, that we don't want uniformity, we want unity. The richness of many voices and different cultures, we want to hear all of them. Obviously, for diversity, though, to flourish without chaos, right, without it being just everything is mixed up, there has to be a unifying center, a heart that gives life to the entire body, so to speak. And this is Israel's calling, as God promises to Abraham that all the families of the earth will be blessed through you. And while racism actually seeks to dominate or to eliminate the other, Judaism very much sees itself as trying to be a vital organ for the body of humanity, right? If the Jewish people are seen as the heart, it's not better than any other organ. It just bears a unique responsibility to circulate life and to give vitality to the whole body itself. And this is obviously a privilege, but it's also an immense burden. And at the same time, Israel is not cut off from the other nations, right? We learn, we absorb, as Isaiah says, we draw nourishment from the milk of the nations. And by gathering the sparks, right, the divine sparks that we've spoken about, of wisdom and holiness from every culture, consciously or even unconsciously, we help weave them back into this unified human story. And so Israel's role is not really a nationalistic one, but it's universal. It's to be the heart through which God's blessing flows, really reuniting humanity's scattered pieces into, like we said, a living whole. Now, this vision has become especially significant in our times, right? The atrocities of October 7th revealed that once again, the hatred of the Jewish people is not limited to specifically our borders, right? The massacre was an attempt not only to murder Jews, but really to strike at the very heart of humanity, right? The people chosen to carry the mission of unifying all these pieces of the nations and the scattered world, these were the people that were attacked. And even more painfully, right, the wave of anti-Semitism that followed the worldwide shows how deeply Israel's faith is entangled with humanity's struggle, right? This is why it's so potent. Instead of standing with the victims, unfortunately, much of the world actually turns against them and turned against us. And this is not new, fortunately. It reflects the ancient discomfort with Israel's role as the heart of humanity. And when the heart, when we start being insecure with ourselves, when we start faltering, right, the whole body reacts then with fear, and there's rejection, and there's confusion. And yet, precisely in moments like this, when we're not sure, when we're scared, our mission becomes even clearer. Though we need to stand firm into our calling. We need to unify our own people across all divides, and to continue radiating ultimately bracha, blessing outwards, even if and when the world resists. And in this really lies both the burden and the hope that through Israel, ultimately, the fractured humanity may one day be healed. And of course, this requires a tremendous amount of responsibility from the people of Israel, from the nation of Israel, from the government of Israel as well, because we obviously have to step up our game. We have to rectify, we have to clarify, we have to reorient ourselves. But nevertheless, we believe, as we say often, that we are the eternal people who are not fearful of a long path. And hopefully soon we'll all be able to share in it. Shabbat Shalom.